Hello, I'm just showing my picture because I did get through the Morgellans, and it was probably the most traumatizing thing. It's going to be different for everybody depending on your journey. Now we're in 2020. So I'm just going to go chronologically through it and just share information that I believe would be useful. Okay? So, yeah. Okay, so when this happened, okay, hold on. I was documenting, okay? So I don't have a spoiler because I don't want to. Okay, look at all this stuff, right? And as far as I remember, it started on April 15th, 2013. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on what the vector may have been. um, you got to kind of see the big picture. And anyway, so these are all a bunch of different stuff, borax, salt, fabric softeners. If anyone that's dealt with Morgellons has probably bought any of this kind of stuff here, right? Um, okay, so I didn't know what I was dealing with. I just wake up at night and I was biting and stinging sensations all over my body. I had no idea what it was. I didn't have any way to contend with it. Um, I could have got it from um, these sheets that I bought from the thrift store that had been used, so it could have been on that. I don't know. I mean, the vector could very well be from the sky itself. You know what I mean? Contrails. And it might not affect everybody the same. I believe there's a blood component. In fact, where I live now, I moved here after getting hit by the first car on the bike. I wasn't in the road. Okay, I'm not that. Anyway, and my neighbor moves in across from me. And just so happens that her daughter, I'll keep it all anonymous. She's a B negative. That's all I'll say. But she was dealing with the Morgellons at the time in 2014. For me, it started in April 15th, 2013 around. And it took like May, June. It was near the end of June. It was the most, I mean, basically when my skin finally started healing up and I was in the tub and the stuff was coming out, Epsom salt baths and all that kind of stuff, right? This girl, though, her mom and her were living there, and she was going through the same thing in 2014. And I'm an A negative. The point is, we both have Rh negative blood, and I believe that Lyme, because it's so hard to detect, and there's so many vectors for it, it's even possible. I don't want to. That's tinfoil hat stuff, but there's so many vectors. People don't know that mosquitoes, deer flies, horse flies have also been shown to transmit it. They're just not as efficient at doing it as the tick is, right? I've had one, two, three, like 5 confirmed tick bites, 4 or 5 confirmed tick bites. 2 of the times I had the big bullseyes, right? And I can actually show that. 2 of the times I had the big bullseyes, right? I didn't get the bullseye. I've been really good about documenting, okay? But I had that on my thigh and then on my forearm. 2 different incidences. I worked on golf courses, and I kept working on golf courses even after because I didn't want to. Spoiler: I didn't want to. I didn't like working indoors or in offices, Anyway, so the first time I was like 5 years old, I had a tick in my neck and my parents were flipping out. It's one of my memories as a young kid. And I had nail polish and burning, and I don't know. Basically, from that point on, I got it right in the neck, in my opinion, okay? Because I had all the symptoms of juvenile Lyme, okay? And I always loved going out in nature in the woods, and God knows how many more tick bites I'd get. It's like the opposite of a booster shot, Um, but I'll tell you this, man, it totally opened my eyes and gave me some perspective. But I want to talk in the here and now and not just be sitting here like Adam Carolla talking about when I played Pee Wee football, okay? This is a public service announcement. It might only be for one person, actually. So this video is for you. Okay, so there's so much to cover here, so much data. Basically, though, we believe there's a correlation with, there is shown to be a correlation with Morgellans and Lyme. And then again, there's a correlation with Rh-negative blood in Lyme, or MS, or lupus, or rheumatoid, or chronic fatigue, right? Or ALS. We don't have proof yet, but I believe Rh positive people who are Rh negative recessive are more likely more susceptible to these things too. It's like, whoa, déjà vu, man. Is it, or is it just because this is like the third time I've done this kind of video? Now that distracted me, that was stupid. Well, moving on, we're gonna hop around to something else. Okay, so I'm gonna get into the nitty gritty, and then I'm gonna show the pictures. But before I do that, you can see I had bug zappers, right? I had exterminators come to my apartment because the landlady didn't believe me, and of course, you have to be really careful. I never went to a doctor, but I've got pictures in here of stuff that came out of the skin, right? During that time, usually after the detox baths. And during this time, because of the symptoms, the biting and stinging, I would be in the bathtub with salt and, Epsom salt. I'd be in the bathtub, dude, for most of the day. I had probably not the safest thing, but I had my laptop and everything set up because the biting stinging stopped, And in the beginning, I used tea tree oil, right? And, yeah, see, this is a few days into it. It's cool that it actually has the proper date. I don't think they're all the proper date, okay? Anyway. But the bug zappers didn't work. Nothing was zapped because, in my opinion, it's like your skin is soil. And whatever, so if a person's eating all GMO food, right? And there's so many other little variables, but I think there's a whole life cycle with the Morgellans thing. There's a fungal component and the springtails component. The springtails are the bugs genetically modified to consume oil in the ocean after oil spills, but then it turns out they developed a taste for sucrose, whatever's on our skin. So that explains the biting and stinging, and when that happens, that's a vector too for transmitting this thing, right? I'm going to put a couple of video comments in the description about the video that I testified to this a little bit further a couple years ago. Really pretty good videos, actually. And those ones are in living color. I like spoken word more with this because I can show the data. Okay, this is all personal, you know what I mean? This is all, it's like a really nice blanket I had because part of the process for me, if I could have gone back, I wouldn't have thrown everything out. Like all my clothes, I had such rug. I was living high in the hog for the first time. I started my own business, buying and selling books, making good money. But sometimes, your higher self or God, I've talked to a lot of people, and since 2008 to 2012, in that range, a lot of people's lives were turned upside down. For me, it was 2013. Okay, I just want to show the process. You know what, let me just supply some useful information before. This was something because I didn't know, man. I'm just trying to make the biting and stinging stop. I was using tea tree oil, clove oil, mixing all these oils, and that worked for a couple days, and then it started again. You know, um, I don't recommend people do it, but what I believe healed it, I completely stopped eating anything. Like, I really changed my diet up, man. Only, like, these days, I only eat, like, natural stuff. I don't have a microwave in the house. Like, um, I don't tolerate a lot of that food. It's too unnatural, you know? I can't remember what this was, though, but you can see I had a microwave back then, though. I was just wanting to document what was happening because I believed it was supernatural and something I'd never experienced before. And I wanted to have photo evidence so people would believe me, but it didn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have photo evidence. So just a heads up there. You can do it for your own edification, though. So you know that you didn't imagine or experience or you didn't have something coming out of the skin. You know what I mean? But what I'm not recommending it, but there's a product, food grade, that I used that I think really accelerated. Food grade hydrogen peroxide. Um, and you have to dilute it. It can burn your hands. It can burn anything if it's, it's what they use for rocket fuel. But I think it was like, I could look it up on Amazon. I guess I will. So I don't want to advocate taking it, though, because it's food grade hydrogen peroxide, and I'd mix it into my Camelback thermos, and it was really hard to drink it. Like, I didn't like the taste. Like, I tried doing it again, to oxygenate my blood to try to get healthier, because it doesn't taste good. But I think it may have been, and I'm not going to talk about it in this video, but because I already did a video for all the, people get tired of getting beaten over the head with the Jesus stuff. So, but I had supernatural stuff happening. I'm not going to get into, but I was scared and I got saved for protection. Okay. Okay. I mean, YMMV, right? Anyway, but I want to give some useful info just in case. I don't want to just be blabbing about the whole thing and not provide anything helpful. So, Epsom salt baths helped a lot, and I'd put a little bit of peroxide in, but not the food grade, because the food grade is expensive. I just use the stuff at the grocery store that's like $1 for a quart. Okay. And there's all these recipes. I didn't really find much that borax didn't seem to be that helpful. This was baby powder, Gold Bond. You can see it next to me, actually. Oh, man. So, here we go. So if you wanted to look into that, there's a lot of overpriced stuff. I got this one. It's a white bottle with red writing on it, and it's like, I think, like 15%. It was like $20 or something, right? And that was enough for me. And within the month after, maybe even a few weeks, I was also living outdoors in sunlight, because it's a fungal thing. Morgellans has a fungal component, and sunlight kills that stuff at the cellular level. So I would just be outside. It got to be difficult, because at the time my skin became so sensitive that I couldn't wear a lot of clothes that I had, that I ended up throwing away, because I thought it was like, I didn't know what it was. It's almost like an elimination diet. So I'm throwing everything away, right? And dryer sheets, yeah, that looks safe, doesn't it? I only did it for like a couple nights, because it had no effect on the biting and stinging all over my skin and in my eyes and my head. But I found that any clothing polyester I still prefer, because cotton, they've genetically engineered it too. with these worms or something to kill the boll weevil. So cotton is pretty much alive, dude. You know? And then you're running outside, you get warmed up and hot, your skin's hot, and then there's moisture from your sweat. And it interacts with that. At least it did for me back then. Like I couldn't wear much. It was, when it finally peaked and I'd thrown away all my nice rugs, furniture, keyboards, I was just throwing everything out, and it was horrific. I just wanted to stop, you know. I tore up the carpeting. But again, I believe it was me, and until you've healed your temple, or until you stop pumping your temple full of GMO foods, which is hard to do, but, you know, don't eat TV dinners, don't eat cookies and Doritos, all that kind of stuff, man. Alcohol too, you know, has yeast in it. And look, I got better. Like a few weeks after doing such and such amount of hydrogen peroxide every day, diluted, the food grade, my skin started healing, and I was ejecting. And then the worms came out of my skin, and I got pictures. It's in a plastic bag. I don't think I could find it, but I also got pictures of the bathtub where you can see a few of the worms. Of course, I hopped out of the tub at that point, kind of freaked out. I'm just telling you what worked for me, okay? I think, you know, finding God, and that might have played a factor too, but I don't want to overly focus on, you know, on that. So many people have just anyway, so let me get a drink here. Okay, so the food grade hydrogen peroxide is what I did. I would expose myself to sunlight. And then I went to the doctor, and I didn't tell him, because I have pictures in here of the stuff that was coming out of my skin. Weird stuff, dude. One of them was a little bug. You'll see later here that I shaved my head because my hair, like the cotton, was making my skin itch. It was so sensitive, dude. It was so bad. And at the time, I was driving a Toyota Celica GT, and it had a leak in the convertible top, and it filled the trunk full of water, okay? And I didn't know this. And I kept having these reactions in April when this all started, every time I get in the car. And then I realized, dude, every time I get in the car, this whole rash like comes up over my body. And in the trunk, it would feel like I'm getting shot with like little arrows or BBs. That stinging pain just from popping the trunk and trying to I was trying to clean it out, and it was some crazy deadly fungus or something, man, in the trunk of the car. It's worth mentioning because there is a fungal component, as I've said. So it pretty much made it impossible to drive during this time, okay? So sunlight, the food grade. And again, you have to be really careful with that stuff. You have to dilute it. You should wear gloves. It's not like it's going to set your skin on fire, but it can burn you, you know, if it's not diluted. Especially the higher strengths. Like I said, I only did like 15%, which is still much higher than the non-food grade hydrogen peroxide sold at the pharmacy, which is like 2% or 3%. You know, that comes in those pints. Anyway, so now that I got that out of the way, there's so many theories as to what it actually is. I theorize that people with certain blood reject it, that it's some sort of freaking ultra AI advanced organism, man. And I believe that it's possible that most people are walking around with it because they assimilated it. But a lot of people don't assimilate it, so they get eruptions in their skin. Their skin starts ejecting fibers, and you know what I mean? Like, I think there's something to that. So I'm going to show you some pictures here, and because I think that's some decently helpful information. Try to follow the voice in your head too. I think it might have happened to me because I wasn't. I was telling the voice in my head to shut up, so I could make money. Okay. Okay, so yeah, here we are, April 22nd. I was working my ass off trying to heal and stop this because I had a thriving buying and selling book business. And I mean, I made like, in the first year, I think I made like 25, 30,000. It wasn't even a full year. And I had like 60,000 in sales, you know, so it was, I never had done that well. Anyway. Okay, you can see, so I took all the carpeting out. I'm just showing, like, I don't think that is necessary, okay? I don't think it's necessary to towel your carpeting or to throw your clothes out because it comes from us. And I'll show you pictures and stuff to explain what I mean by that. Like, your soil has to support this. And most people's soil, which is their skin, is, you know, chock full of whatever we eat, right? That's what creates us and maintains us. Yeah, this was a mistake. I was soaping it all up and with water and everything, and dude, it was horrible after that. So just a heads up, like if there's high humidity, it was horrible after this. When I was, no, it was when I shampooed the carpet. That's what it was. I don't have pictures of that, do I? I probably do, actually, but moisture is the enemy. Humidity is the enemy with this thing. I ended up getting a really good dehumidifier because I was literally sleeping on the floor in the bathroom, and it was warmer, kind of near summertime, so the heat wasn't working in the apartment, right? It doesn't work when it's above 60 or something, right, or 70. And I couldn't cover up with blankets or anything because everything was, my skin was reacting to, right? Except for very few things, as I learned, like polyester mesh shorts, right? And so the dehumidifier, what it allowed me to do is it put out a lot of heat. I went through a few of them before I got one that did what I wanted it to, a good dehumidifier. And it kept that bathroom warm, you know, so I could sleep at night. And I wasn't so cold because I lost weight during it. And I was really skinny and cold. I'd never known, you know, if you lose too much body fat. And this was stressful and traumatizing, and there's a lot of weird supernatural stuff coming in. I think the whole Lyme, Morgellans thing is the people that have it, there might be something about them that they're, I don't know, some grand purpose, because going through it, that experience can really try the mind and the soul and you know, cause people to go a little crazy. I went crazy from it pretty good. I mean, you know. Okay, so I'm just going to show some pictures. This one isn't that much. It's just a little blotchy. It's hard to tell. But I was documenting why, because it kept getting so much worse. Okay. And just, you can see it hurt way more than it looked like it did. Okay. And again, I think that was after I tried to get something in the trunk, or I was trying to clean out the trunk. I bought a ozone generator because I read like a commercial one. Man, I spent so much. Phew. That's why I never ask people for donations on the Morgellans videos or Lyme videos, because it taxes the finances. And there's a lot of people that want to prey on people. And if you have information that should help somebody, you shouldn't have a paywall or whatever, you know what I mean? At the same time, like with my experience, always consult a doctor, physician before making healthy lifestyle changes, of course, because of my experience. I'm not recommending that. I'm just saying what worked for me. I'm not a doctor or anything. I'm just an A negative male. And I just wanted to have some pictures like that. This really nice rug. It was really thick and plush, and my dream catchers, my really soft plush blankets, and okay, and I'll explain this. So it was affecting the eyes too, biting and stinging. Is it actually snowing? Dude, it's May 8th and it's snowing. I'm I might have to throw this in the video just because I'm in Michigan, pretty far north of the Manson-Nixon line. So, um, let me just show this real fast, and I'll come. I just want to, you know. All right. Can you see the snow? That's it. Wow. Okay. Um, this was eyes were biting and stinging. You can see my neck and upper chest was really reddish too and irritated. And this was April 28th. Man, it was so brutal going through that, man. But the goggles didn't help because again, I'm like with an exterminator coming by and another exterminator, and then all the pesticides I used. I mean, um, the thing is, it's coming from within, right? Once it's established, it's coming from within. It's not like, because so many people like the B negative I met who had it, and I really wanted to help her, but I was like, came on way too strong. And I was taking Ambien at the time, and I sent her some crazy emails. I don't even remember sending them. So there are spiritual obstructions that happen at times. Some people are supposed to help one another, and then some people, things can get waylaid. Okay, so that's why I had the goggles on. I just wanted to explain this because it was the symptom of the biting and the stinging in the eyes. And people are like, don't take detox baths. If you do that, it'll just go up part of your body where it can breathe, and that didn't happen to me. I would dunk my whole body basically. I think I even had a snorkel, so I could completely submerge. You know what I mean? Just really, you can see how, irritated that is, right? It'd be cool if it stayed zoomed. Just another shot. May 2nd. And this, you can see a little bit of those trail marks, right? And some more irritation on the front there. Again, those trail marks. I never scratched myself, okay? This was from whatever this organism, okay? When you see the worm carcasses in the tub, they're not the highest quality, but they're kind of in the same shape, right? Doesn't it look like trails or a person that got like whipped? You know what I mean? When you're looking at it, it without looking close, you can't see that it's not scratch marks, right? Yeah, I don't know what this one is. Oh, you can see which oil is that? I just want you to see all the stuff. And then I had this big spray bottle filled with a mix of Windex. No, just Windex. Windex made my skin feel good during this. And I had the Selsun Blue back there too. But the Windex made my skin feel really good. And then I had other expensive shampoos that I was rubbing on the body. And you can see can you see it right there on the little claw marks? This is 2013, okay? So, And again on the forearm. And under the forearm. Same pattern, right? And these are the ones that were on the right latimus dorsi, I think. No, is that the right arm? It looks like it might be the elbow, actually. Okay, there's going to be some more data here. Yeah, that's me with the shaved head. I just wanted to show. I try to pick the pictures that are least kind of, you know. But I wanted to show because going through the process, and you can see in the background I have like plastic because I bought the ozone generator. And then the neighbors were complaining about it, and it was a whole freaking thing. But yeah, so if you see, I'm only wearing like the same shorts because everything was uncomfortable, right? So, and again, look at those marks, right? And the marks on the right lat. Right lat is the right muscle, on the body. Wow, yeah. And again, I did not scratch them once. When I was a kid, I had bad allergies, and if I would itch my eyes, they would be so much worse. So I learned when I was younger, never scratch anything, because if it's poison ivy, it'll spread, right? And if it's this, it'll be worse. And so you can't really. That's my first instinct is to not really scratch or itch myself. Too zoomed in. Okay, more of the. Okay, I bought this. Gosh, I can't remember. I bought it on Amazon because I wanted to see what was going on my skin on the cellular level, right? Hold on. Okay, anyway, I got this, and you can see 10 times zoom digital just plugged into the USB, right? And then I could take pictures and upload them, and right? So I still got that. I don't use it. Just another picture of me with the shaved head. This is the trunk of the car. See how there's all this. I don't even know how I got that close. That's the trunk of the car, though. Again, extreme irritation. Could have been right. Let's see. June 8th at 10:30 a.m. Yeah, look at that. That's great. That's exactly what I wanted to show. Okay, so here's that. Thank God that's timestamp stuff, huh? So this is me going out to the trunk of the car, trying to. I don't know what I was doing that day, that morning, but you can see the moisture, a bunch of it, and it reacted that fast. Where I mean, look at that. I mean, how late was it? 10:32? Yeah, within 20 some minutes. And again, I think that's, yeah, and you can see the lines on the front too there on the upper right side, right? And then it was, see what I'm wearing? Like I could barely wear, dude. I couldn't wear, I was just wearing like mesh shorts, mesh polyester. Everyone's going to be different though. It might not be happening to you that way. My hope is that anyone watching this will hopefully save money, and you won't have to buy a microscope, and you won't throw everything out, and this kind of thing, right? Okay, this is the whole suit I got. Still back then working with the principal, that it was something in the environment, right? So I just wanted to have a picture of this. It didn't, again, it was really hot. It was summertime, and it didn't help, you know. I thought it would. This stuff came out of my skin in the tub. I should have put something there for scale. But it's this stuff, dude. I would take those detox baths. And when the tub drained, there'd be all this material in the tub. So I like scooped it up and put it on the edge of the tub on the sill there so you could see it. Like some sort of gelatinous life forms, part of the whole system, part of the whole Morgellans thing, right? All the pictures in this video is from my personal experience, even though it may look like other, stuff. So I know, from personal experience. Yeah, it was something that came out of my skin, looked like I was using a lighter for scale. Um, Windex. I buy the Windex and then I put them in these big sprayers, right? You can see me there. And look, I got better. It's not the end of the world, but it's traumatizing and really uncomfortable. Going through that. I didn't have any spiritual understanding. I mean, I naturally did, but I didn't realize. And I'm not gonna, get into it, but like when this is happening, I found Jesus for protection, and the first stuff I read in the Bible was the story of Job, right? And he had the sores too, and it was the first thing I read in the Bible that I don't think I sought it out, because I always want to be honest. But why would I read it first? I just heard that the guy suffered. Then I'm reading it, and I'm like, whoa, he shaved his head. He had sores, because I shaved my head, right? Anyway, those are like the worm carcasses. I'm pretty sure. I know it's not perfectly. That's pretty sure that's what those are, though. That's why in that big piece is caulk, though. That's not that thing up there, isn't it? It's the little things. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And just another picture. The caulk, though, above it, isn't a worm. And oftentimes when people first get bit, this is elephantitis. Okay? I was having this in my August 11th, in my, mainly my knees and, like around near my joints, it's called elephantitis. And so I had to go to the doctor. And can you see how it's like, there's a little sore there, it looks like, but can you see how the skin's kind of bunched up? Okay? It almost looks like a face, doesn't it? It's a weird world. Maybe not. But I had really low body fat, and to have swelling like that, I was swelling in my lower extremities, my calves, my feet. And I don't have hypertension or anything, okay? And for this, I had to, like I said, I went to the doctor, and I said, hey, I showed him a picture of the worm in the bag. I said, can I get some anti-worm medicine? I think these are the ones I actually ordered online because they didn't give enough. I used pinworm treatment, Vermox treatment, ivermectin, because so many of us have a lot of parasites in our stomach. I could just show it, but I'll just, fresh green black walnut wormwood extract, Reese's pinworm medicine. I still have a lot of this stuff because I didn't know when it was going to end, And so I believe this stuff, though, helped with what was causing the elephantitis. I think it was possible from like a deer fly bite. I don't, because I had such a constellation of symptoms. Like, it wasn't like I got bit by a tick. It was pretty much the wintertime. I was indoors. It's not like I got bit by the tick, had Lyme in April, and then had this. You know what I mean? Like, so it could have been a deer fly or something that bit me and transmitted. It really kills the if I go outdoors nowadays, because I've had Lyme so many times, I stay on it has to be concrete with like 10 feet on either side kind of trails, and they do have those out there. So never run towards grass that's around a lake or water body. Okay, don't walk in woods. Ticks can be so tiny. I've done videos about it, so I'm not going to get into it. But everyone and their brother knows there's a link, right? And I took this. Okay. And see my foot's all swollen? Elephantitis. It's a tropical disease, and it's hard to get treatment in America because America, they think that we don't have these things anymore, but they still do. But how many people are going outdoors in general, do you notice? Most people aren't going outdoors. And those that do, 90% of the humans, 85% are Rh positive, right? And actually, no, it's like 50% are half Rh positive, half Rh negative. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. It's gonna... And again, swollen foot, okay? Okay, I had these glue traps, all right? Amongst one more thing I had to freaking buy. And this ended up in the glue trap. It happened in the other one too. I thought I had pictures. This stuff was all over my apartment. Not like, hanging from the ceiling like streamers, but you can see the glue, the adhesive, right? So this is what was inside my glue trap, right? And I was like, what the hell? And when you're looking at that, it can give you an understanding of why it's uncomfortable to have this crap moving under your skin, right? I think it makes people more open to suggestion and easier to control. I think it's why people in this world are so much more unnatural than they used to be. It's not like people were ever that in touch. But do you know what I mean? How, I don't know, man, like Body Snatchers. There's a movie about it. Not that movie, but there's another one. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, I think it's best to keep an open mind. And most of the information will come from within or from a trusted source, like a person. Just a heads up. I think you'll find that most of the stuff, the information in this world is just like an echo chambers, different echo chambers, but it's all kind of just the same. That's why you gotta find humans. Okay, so that's that thing, that abomination, okay, was in the glue trap. Pretty zoomed in, it looks like, because you can see the detail of the adhesive right there, but not cool. Okay, this I think was a springtail carcass. Okay, I mentioned springtails earlier. I can't remember how I came to this one. Is that in a glue trap? Was it in a glue trap? I don't freaking know. Super zoomed in. Springtails are microscopic. If that's like a springtail carcass, I don't know. I don't think it might not be, man. It might just be some other insect who shed its shell or died or something. I remember, okay, this one, okay, so I shaved my head because it was giving me rashes. My hair was giving me rashes, right? And I cut it, and then I cut it again, then I said, I'll just shave it, This thing, I felt a sting on my head, and since it was shaved, I shaved every morning. I shaved my whole body every morning, and it helped me. I'm not saying to do that, but it helped me to see all these long hairs popping up that weren't really hair. They'd be several inches long, right? And this thing, see how it's almost got eyes? Look at it. Doesn't it look like it's looking at the camera, man? I plucked this green freaking thing off of, it came out of my skin on my head, okay? I've got a few more pictures of this. Like, what the heck, right? And again, a lot of this stuff has this form, this little, like, it looks like kind of like gelatinous, right? I think those are like biofilms or something. I don't freaking know. I never noticed how it's looking at the camera. I mean, doesn't that look like a head and eyes, and then that's the body, right? Look at that thing, though. That was a fun afternoon. I was watching Red Wing hockey, I think, at the time. I was still trying to hang on to a semblance of the normalcy of life, you know. This was another one that was bothering me, so I zoomed in on, and this, I don't think that's even, any of that is my hair. I don't think so. But you could see it. Anyway, it was, that zoomed in, but it was more that gelatinous crap, you know. And that's another picture of it with the tail. Okay, here's that same one that I plucked off my head. Just a different picture, and then here it is again. So I literally plucked that off my head, okay? Why isn't it going? That's already all the pictures? Wow. Well, that was fast. Right? How long have I been talking? Oh. Okay, so kind of see this was the beginning, and relatively, and I was doing my best to use material methods to combat this, and it seems like there's much more of a spiritual component with it. And a lot of people I know that have had Lyme haven't necessarily had Morgellans, right? But they're much more open-minded, and after being put through that, it gives you a certain perspective you wouldn't have, right? Without like this, okay? So let me show you. I get these halos in Michigan. I started skywatching. I thought Nibru was coming. This does relate though. I thought Nibru was coming, yada yada yada, right? Because there's a lot of stuff happening up there now, and a lot of people, it seems like they think it's normal, but growing up, I don't remember these halos around the sun 2-3 days a week. Okay, and so that's a shot of the halo. It might have been one of the ones I captured. There hasn't been one in a few days, but usually it's like two, at least 2 or as many as 3 days a week for the last couple years in Michigan. And what does it look like? I just had this realized the other day. No, the bullseye, right? A bullseye, like a mark. Like, isn't it interesting that 70% of the time people get infected with Lyme, they get one of these bullseyes? And I had it two different bullseyes. And I was infected other times. It didn't show the bullseye, but I knew, because how, you know how it is. It's like getting the same flu again. You keep, you know, it's like, but I wanted to live, you know, I wanted to still work outdoors, and I still wanted to go in the woods and in nature. Nowadays, no, you know, because they have these new longhorn ticks that came from China. You know, what else is new? Or Asia. And they can winter, they can survive in the winter and dig holes, and they can mate without a partner, and they swarm. So they're not cool. You know, it takes us one bite, you know. And furthermore, like, it depends if you've had mosquitoes attracted to you and flies more than other people. I mean, I went walking in the woods with this woman. She was an O positive, probably O negative recessive, so half Rh negative. But we went walking in these woods, and I was wearing my boonie hat and long sleeve, blah, blah, blah. And I had bug spray with me. I kept it with me when I walk in the woods, you know, deep woods off. And I'd spray it all over. And there was just a cloud of bugs following me. And they didn't even go for her at all. You know, so there's a certain, you know, blood component. Blood's really important. I mean, and it's that word in the Bible is mentioned a ton too. And I didn't want to beat over the head of Jesus stuff, but I believe, you know, the Holy Spirit gave me more insight into how to heal myself. And I don't know if I would have done the peroxide if I didn't get saved for protection. But I'm not pushing that. I don't push it. At least I don't do it like other people do. So let's see. And there's probably stuff I missed here. So as I said, I had that elephantitis thing. Okay, I had the Morgellans. I think I got it from sheets from the store that I bought, because that's where it started, around my toes at night. But there was also a dead bird, and it was a really humid spring, and the humidity made it so much worse. Humidity is the enemy. You really want to be careful with humidity in your house, and you spill some water. You want to, on carpeting, you want to dry that out right away as soon as possible. That kind of thing. Mold is bad. I think it had, as you saw, how my skin broke out. And it was like that over and over. Like that car ended up, I just got rid of it, man. I lost my car. Right? And then after this whole Morgellons thing, okay, so by late June, early July, it was the worms came out of the skin. It wasn't biting and stinging all the time anymore. And I kept doing a little bit of the peroxide, right? And it was like, oh, I'm feeling good again. I was so happy because I'd never been so uncomfortable for months on end. And I'm using every bit of my intellectual capacity. And it's like it's book sale season. I want to be out at garage sales and church sales and rummage sales. And I kept trying to, and it's like I can't do this stuff when I'm biting and stinging all over my body. You know, you kind of, for me, I had to, lay low. And tea tree oil and the other clove oils, they help for a couple days, maybe a couple weeks. But I don't know how it is for everyone. I just know with me it was that biting and stinging all over the body. And it was so hard and it was so awful, man. And as it got better, I had a supernatural thing I caught on video, June 27th, 2013. I'm just including it because it seemed to be all part of the same phenomena. And I have video proof of something. And I saw things, a lot of stuff, ancient language. And anyway, and then 2 weeks later, I got hit by a car. And really messed up, right? And a lot of people have had traumatic brain injuries or traumatic things, getting hit by cars, getting divorced, illness, is part of a whole thing that's been happening, right, in the last however many years, right? So I would just say, get close to God, whatever your version of God is, and believe, and pray for help and guidance, and get healthy, and like exercise. Sunlight is really, really good for it really. I mean, I think it was a combination for me of the sunlight and the food grade peroxide. And since I mentioned that, I don't even know if I can make this public, because I probably still could, as long as I say, I don't recommend it, because it was tough to do. I ordered more and I couldn't, because I wanted to try doing it again, and I just couldn't drink it again. I think you have to be really motivated with extreme discomfort, right? So the springtails, genetic modified to eat oil, they like the skin now. That's one part of the cycle. The fungus thing's another part, and this whole organism, and I think it has something to do with kind of controlling people mentally. I think it kind of, it's not like it makes them stupid. I think it just kind of doesn't allow them to access free thought as much as they did before. It's just a theory. So, if you have any specific questions, just comment, So it was April, May, June. For me, it was 3+ months. And thank God it got better after that time. And I try to share with other people, so Yeah. So, just keep your head up and good luck. And I believe whoever you are, you will get through it eventually. It may be quicker than 3 months. It may take longer. I don't know. And it will give you more perspective and insight than you had before because of the suffering. And I thought after that happening and then getting hit by that first car, I was like, oh, that's going to be it. No, it's possible. I mean, it's just, you know, we all have different journeys, you know. And what's easy for one person might be really hard for another. So I don't like to compare notes, because everyone's built different. So is that good? Person out there, yeah. And if you value your anonymity, if you do comment and just use a generic name, don't use your real name, because it's possible I would make it public. And I will put in the comments or in the description, I will put the links to the Rh negative Plum Island Lyme disease fatigue exhaustion video, and the link to the Morgellans manifestation video. They both were received really well. I was flowing in a spirit of truth, and they were really good. It's maybe 1 out of 30 videos that I'm doing good or like that I like that. Maybe like 1 out of 10. I don't know. Okay. It looked like it stopped snowing. That was weird. And just try to think, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing right now in life, you might, some people might not be, but it's really hard to determine that, man. It's, oh gosh, yeah. So, because I think for me, it's possible that this happened when it happened, and I believe my body rejected it, and then the car hitting me, and my whole family moved out of state. Like, all this stuff happened in a very short time span. So I was completely alone, and it was really hard. I just, not getting hugs at first, that was really hard. You were just aching for, and I'm an introvert, but just aching for, and then I just listened to a ton of podcasts and learned a bunch of different stuff. And I didn't get too into the stuff with Jesus. I just learned prayers of protection, and back then I didn't even know Jesus. I just said God, you know what I mean? Anyway. But think about the symbolic thing of a bullseye too, right? Like, yep, you're doing this thing, and it might, I really do think, dude, that the Morgellon stuff might affect people that might be a little special, outside the norm. People that are going to be dismissed and disregarded, So no matter what photo evidence you have, because back then I had the evidence of the contact, right? And this whole thing and all the bugs and everything else, and just all these things that happened in a very short time, and I realized our reality is not what I thought it was. And sometimes you're like Cyrus in the Matrix, man. You just want to eat that steak, even if it's not really a steak, but I guess over time God gives us time, I believe, and I'm really grateful for everything I have. Gratitude's really important. In fact, I became more grateful after the Morgellons because of how, and that's kind of the theme in life, you should become, I believe we do, more wiser and more grateful from getting, spinal injuries, brain injuries, aliens, or not, I don't know. They're alien to me, whatever, okay? Bugs, car, then everything. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we're living in a pretty crazy time right now. I'm not going to do local news, the whole virus thing worldwide, right? And in my opinion, the Lyme thing is the biggest thing worldwide affecting, at least in the first world, like, because, but there's also, don't forget these tropical diseases. Anytime a person gets bit by any kind of insect, a spider, especially arachnids, ticks, mites, spiders, and scorpions, for some reason transmit these vectors more efficiently. People, like, I had a spider bite, then I had a bullseye, and then they got Lyme, and like I didn't even get bit by a tick, but it did have 8 legs, right? Arachnid. Um, yeah, it's a really crazy time, and I wouldn't want to go through that again. It was the most uncomfortable in terms of physical discomfort, because it wasn't even pain. It was not really pain. It was just the biting and stinging. I mean, that's not pain like I'm thinking, like, hardcore blunt force trauma when other stuff happens, right? Okay, that's it. Yeah, good luck. Um, and God bless you.